Stream Elements said the busy builder is now live. Streaming art, Subtember HMMWV detailing.
Hello. Marmar. Marbles, come here. Frankie, no, you can't get out the window. Come here. Come on. Come on. Hello. Okay. I'm gonna have to translate that. I can't read Cyrillic, I'm afraid. I'm okay. Just give me a second. Okay, just that didn't look like Privyet. Sorry, I'm just having a tough time getting going today. Didn't sleep well. And from look at the rest of the world, it's not going much easier for a lot of other people, so. So, the seat had most of the battery box on it. But it was missing the front face for some reason, so I'm just adding that, because on the real vehicle, if you take the seat off, you have a box in this shape which holds both the 12-volt batteries for the 24-volt system. And then, hey George, how you doing? We'll cut this lump off. I have a few Russian friends that live in the local area. Okay, no, I don't want to clip that. That said, it doesn't mean I speak Russian at all, just I know a couple terms. So yeah, for the driver's seat, I want to try and make the scissor lift that's underneath it for height adjustment. I probably just could have scored this with my X-Acto knife and snapped it off, to be honest. There we go. So my dilemma... Let me get you an example, actually. Just give me 1 second. So, I would like to have the canvas top on this model, right? However, if I put it on, these won't fit. So these stake beds in the bench seat won't fit inside the model parts as provided, so can't do that. Right? What I am contemplating... Hey Alex. I'm trying to. Feels like it gets a little harder and more roadblocks pop up before I've even got the damn thing lately. So a couple things I want to address with it is 70-second scale example. I also made this. Sorry about that. but this framework and the seating is under there. I made this. Ow. So I made this piece, right, out of AVs. So one thing I am contemplating is make it like this, add the support rods, and then do this again, just in 35th scale. So that way when you look inside, you have the benches, you have the frame, you have all the details that are supposed to be there. Oh wow, that shows up really great in camera. So that's how it should look inside. And you can also make it how the top goes down over the sides for the latch system that's on the vehicle. Right? Where the kit one... Where's the roof? There it is. So the kit one rests firmly on top of the body, which if I just went with this, one, you wouldn't have the bench seats inside properly, and two, it wouldn't go down to this point, which is where the latches are, because what happens is this goes over that, and then there's like a canvas strap that you put through a notch in the latch here, and then you tighten it down. So we'll proceed on the idea that I'm going to do this, right? And even if I don't do it, it would be cool just to have that hanging on there, and we'll think of something. But before we get that far, I still want to do more interior stuff. Or am I showing that I got way too much knowledge for an Air Force person on an Army vehicle? Well, when it's something you've wanted since you were 10, yeah, you could say that. There's my sandpaper. So I'm going to have to notch that a little bit to get the seat to fit right. That's fine. Finally got around to watching the end of Alien Earth on Friday. It was different. A couple things I kind of expected from the beginning, but I couldn't say 100%. One thing that surprised me was our little eyeball tentacle friend's little party trick at the end there. Almost perfect. Shave a little more off that. And then Jen went to the Salt Lake City Comic-Con yesterday, or FanX as they call it now, and brought me home an Aliens-based surprise box, which had a 1-to-1 scale facehugger with bendy fingers. Plushy. Okay, I can glue that in and still work on the AC ducting under here. Okay. I also took the liberty of getting the gas pedal, the brake pedal, and the dimmer switch in the footwell. And I fixed the headlight switches on the dash panel. And I know the thing I just did with the seat's small, but when you look in there and you see that the front of it is now solid, it does make a difference in the interpretation of it. It looks right. Now I just need to find a picture of the frame under this. Off to Google I go. So some of the newer ones apparently come with a cover around the base, but I want it to be the older style one where you can kind of see under it. No, that's for the real one. And it's a... On the earlier ones, it's a 6.5 liter, which is essentially a 350 converted to diesel. Where on the other ones, it's a 6.2 liter. Sorry, face is dry. A 6.2 liter, sometimes with a turbo, sometimes not. With a 4L80 transmission. And essentially it's equivalent to a Chevy 3500 series Duramax. Hello, Steven. I hope the one I get has the 6.2. Parts are more available, and it's a stronger engine where the 6.5 is a lot weaker. But I'll take whatever I can get as long as it's running. There we go. There's the frame. With no cushions. Okay, good. So that's how that works. Okay. Yeah, that other design's way too complicated. Plus, it's for the newer seats, which I don't have in this model. Okay, now I've got a working idea. we'll start with the frame on this side, which doesn't have to bend at all. Yeah, the Eagle is essentially the Humvee chassis with a new body. How you doing, Alex? I want to see, because we might be doing a little more surgery than we thought. Yeah, the seat's too wide. It should be narrower, especially for what we need to do. Yeah, seat's got to be narrowed. That's fine. We'll narrow the inside face. Because the way the kit has it work is it had the support on one side, and then when you put the seat in, it rests on the ledge, where it's actually got to fit down in there. I'm sure there's probably people looking at me going, what the hell's he talking about? Trust the process. Yeah, it sounds like you've had a fun weekend since I last talked to you. How did, God, what was that night when everybody showed up? Was that Wednesday? Or was that Friday? I forget. Oh, it was Friday. The thing that gets me most about these, though, is all the people who've bought them so far, and they complain because they're like, I bought my first four-wheel drive vehicle, and it's a Humvee. And then they bitch and complain about the noise, the rattliness, the shakiness, and I'm just sitting there thinking, and I actually saw a video where somebody called one out. What's your basis of comparison for whether or not this is a good vehicle? My basis of comparison is I used to own a Blazer, bouncy as fuck. We're talking a K5 Blazer. My father's always been an avid Jeep fan, so he's had Jeeps all the time. I've driven those. And he also had a Suzuki Samurai, which we took to Boston and back in the dead of November. So, and I've even ridden in these. And my basis of comparison is is the fact that I've been in multiple off-road vehicles, and honestly, the Humvee does not ride terribly to me. Others would complain. I'm looking forward to it. Okay. Bring up that picture of the frame that I've got. Yeah, we'll do this side. I'm even flipping the seat so the back's taller. They made the back too short. Meanwhile, Alex is over here having goldfish memory problems. That's okay, Alex. Okay. Sorry. I'm just using this as a sizer for my part. Since I don't have a photo etch set for this, and I'm not about to shell out for one, I am just going to make what I need using sheet styrene and what little artistic ability I still retain after about 30 years of not drawing. And this is just to get something that looks close enough for the interior. Looks like an ice skate if Snoopy drew it. We fed them all to the Marines. And no, after I left art school, I kind of just lost interest in it. In the Air Force, they gave me an airbrush. And walls. I wish I got a picture of the mural I did in the maintenance ops building with all the unit patches, but I can show you one that I did. I painted this back in 2006, and it's still there. Okay. Now I just need to clone this in the reverse direction with taller legs. Kind of like a bomb site. It's just our squadron logo. I'm going to try and skip past this chunk. There we go. Let me get this one glued on. And then once it's on, I can use it to help size the height of the other one. Make that a bit shorter too. Well, the other thing, we've had similar incidents here, because I live outside a major base too, and there have been incidents with drones. Nothing that's come to anything, but enough to make you go, I'll have to look and see. And that just snapped on me. I'll have to look and see if I have a small fire extinguisher to put in the front of the seat as well. Because on the earlier ones that this will be, it had a fire extinguisher right in front of the driver's seat. And that was the typical location. Sometimes they'd move it to other places. I've seen a few pictures of these where they just screwed it down to the plywood that's right here. And if we get to a stopping point on this, I might get the Centauro out and at least get the figures cleaned up and assembled. Maybe do a little more on that. I am not cutting another one of these. Can this just get lined up, please? See about getting this bent over. Yep. Yep. Okay. Of course I bent them the wrong way. That's fine. I think I made the same exact problem when I tried this as a teenager. I had a lot less reference to go on at the time. That'll work. Thing is, I need that to stick out a little bit. That actually works pretty well like that. But even though I glued it, I've got broken plastic right there, so I need to just dab it with a little super glue and hit it with some accelerator. Then we'll test fit. But yeah, Aries isn't wrong. It's hard waking up today. This is just to help that broken joint in the plastic stick better. My hands don't want to work today either. But that's good. We've got the passenger seat boxed in more appropriately. The driver's seat has a more proper looking frame. You don't see a lot of it, but I know it's better. It may not be fixed, but it's different. That actually does work. What was his response? Okay. So let's try doing more of the matting again. See if I can get that finished up. But one thing I'm going to do is when I get mine, I'm going to line the inside of the doghouse with kill mat. So I'll take that off, put that anti-vibration, sound deadening, and temperature material in it. I put it in the floor of my Camaro too. And then anywhere under the matting I'll do it. And if I can even get up into the tunnel, I'll put it up inside there on the underside, which will help reduce vibration, noise, and exhaust temperature, keep that down. And then I'll put the matting back down over it, so you got a double layer of it basically. Okay, paper towel. Just kneading this up a bit more. Nice. Let's see if we can have better luck this time. I basically just need to do a patch that'll cover in here, and then do some for here. There we go. That should work. I need to try something. Let's get the footwell wet, which will allow me to slide it in there easier. I swear, Aries, if you say giggity. Where's that rubber brush? There. Yeah, some vehicles, the thermal blanket or whatever this is supposed to be, only seems to cover the sides, so I'm going with that. I've seen a couple where it goes down onto the floor, but not enough to give me confidence in doing that. But yeah, you'll be able to see that once the seat's in place fully. Yeah, definitely tell what that is. So we find the passenger side look. Come on. But I'm hoping this week I'll be able to say we're 15% of the way there. Okay, I'm just going to flatten this on my hand and then trim it to size. And another common issue I've heard of is people not putting the passenger seat back in properly. So it'll make contact with the battery terminals somehow. So again, I'm going to rubberize the underside of the seat. Yeah, that's not till Thursday for me. But hey, a little bit at a time works. I want to say we'll be closer to 16% there. I'd have to look and count the numbers to be sure, but I think that's a more exact amount. One of my friends even said I should do a GoFundMe. I'm like, no, if it's for, you know, helping with a medical expense or something actually important, yeah, but no, this I'm doing on my own. With help, of course, but I'm not going to be using things like GoFundMe or anything odd like that. It wouldn't feel right. Go. There we go. Okay, I've got a better feeling about all this now. I do know one thing, though. If I ever have to go to Florida, I'm not registering it there, because Florida's not Humvee friendly. Which, considering the amount of rednecks and the amount of swamp down there, I mean, I grew up there, so I'm speaking from very knowledgeable base here. It's surprising that they're not registerable. And another detail to work out. Okay. There's something in their vehicle registration process that does not allow for military vehicles. Which is weird because it's a state that doesn't require emissions or safety, at least where I'd be living, if I had to move there. And, yeah, it has no real restrictions on the vehicle itself. It just has to be street legal, like headlights, taillights, and turn signals, and all that jazz. Like, I could take my Camaro down, half falling apart with rust, and register it no problem. But I could take one of these down, fully restored, and they won't register it. Not the military ones. If I got an H1, I could do it that way. But in their eyes, an H1 is different. Okay, I don't see the logic in that, but okay. Actually, does that ride up like that? It does. Okay. Excuse me. But I do have it sitting appropriately forward. So I'm going to have to glue it like that. Which means I have to make a ledge. I don't have any plans on going back to Florida, though. Actually, I know what I can do. We're just gonna make some boosters. Oh, I know. I knew a few of those Brits. The thing is, over there, in order to own a tank, you just have to have a shotgun license. I shit you not, and a valid driver's license. It's okay, model student. We've just been tinkering and dicking around with the little details like seat rails, things like that. I think these ought to do it for the height. Doesn't have to be much higher. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, as long as the tank, AFV, whatever it is, has headlights, taillights, turn signals, and rubberized tracks in the UK, and you have a valid shotgun license, because even if the breech is demilled, you can still launch things out of it, right? You can own said vehicle. I heard somebody in Florida at one time had actually imported a... I want to say it was a ferret armored car. I'm not 100% certain, but it was a wheeled armored car. And he had to go through hell and high water in his county to get it registered. And actually created new bylaws to have things like that happen, but they may have lapsed. Washington State, I've heard, is iffy one way or the other. I don't know which. I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. I've heard one trick people use to get them registered in Washington is the they call it... Yeah, shorts have to be vertical. They can't be horizontal. Oh yeah, there's a guy that actually lives in London that has his own little... I forget which SPG it is. Coming soon to a place near you, unfortunately. Okay. But another trick that they use to get around the registration issues is... Montana and Idaho are friendly, so they'll just open up an LLC registered to either of those states and get around it that way. Okay. And register the vehicle using the LLC's address. We're just test fitting the seat rails, making sure I got it okay. Yeah, I just gotta trim that one back a little bit. I know you can't see it a lot of it, but I just know it's there. Gotcha. I just use my phone for my shorts. You know, good enough for a government vehicle. I can't find my chisel, so I can't take out whatever the hell that is. It's the old alignment for the seat that I don't need anymore. Unless... Nah. We're not gluing this in yet. We're nowhere near painting, so if I find it, I'll deal with it then. Yes. There's two that I know of. One's still in black and green, and the other one's pink. Or it could be the same one, just repainted. Now for the next shenanigan. Seatbelt retaining clips. I need a little of this and a little of this. I almost ordered a set of 3D printed decal stuff for this, but the more I got looking at it, the more cartoonish it looked. And it really wouldn't have helped things at all. Sorry, I'm working out of frame. I need tweezers. There. There. These may be overscale, but they're there. No worries. Just give me credit if you repost it somewhere. And everything I'm doing you can find in pictures online easily enough. As far as the references, they are everywhere. If I remember right, that should just go right about there. Actually, no, it's behind the corner of the seat a bit. Okay. Sorry for being disorganized today, too. I'm apologizing a lot lately. I don't like that. I'm just going to stab a hole since that's still fresh. I'm just drilling into the aves to give myself a location hole. Actually, before I do that, let's get the second one made. It looks like the seatbelt's roller assembly is actually down on the floor, not up on the A pillar or B pillar, which will actually make things easier. Yeah, I should be able to do that after initial assembly. I don't know. It'll be kind of a pain, but I can make it work. Again, we'll cross that bridge when I get to it. I'm kind of just playing this whole thing by ear. You almost get the feeling the guy who made this mix really liked the original trailer for Alien a lot. So we're actually going to let these sit for a moment and dry up a little bit more than I have them. Cat hair off the desk. I did, and it's not over yet. I was hoping for something a little bit more definitive, given they still don't know if they're going to be making a Season 2 yet or not. Other people keep saying they will, but I haven't seen anything official yet. It was decent. I'd like to see that if this generated enough revenue for them, that they use it to make the effects and creatures better in the next one. Because that, to me, that was the biggest letdown. Is the alien they had was a little too much man in a suit. You know, they showed a little too much of it too clearly. And if you're going to do that, if you know you're shooting that thing out in broad daylight, get a better suit. There's the parking brake. Because when it was the creature, like, fighting and attacking... When it was the creature fighting and attacking in CG, to be honest, it looked great. You know, it moved right, it looked right, but as soon as they switched to the guy in the suit, the difference was immediately noticeable. And it didn't help that I'm really about to age myself right now. If you've seen the movie Monster Squad, yeah. But if you ever remember, if you've seen the movie Monster Squad, where all the Hollywood Universal Studios monsters are in small town America, Alec Gillis played the Gill Man, or the creature from the Black Lagoon. He also played the alien in Alien 3. And I know the guy they hired to do this wasn't Alec, but it looked like he based his movement a lot on Alec Gillis in... Hey, Fenrir. Hey, George. Yeah, the 80s movie where the little kids meet all the Universal monsters and they almost take apart the town. Frankenstein was in it. You know the deal. But the guy they had playing the alien in this moved a lot like Alec Gillis in the Creature from the Black Lagoon suit. And it didn't look right. Here's the main shifter. Hey Major Havoc, how you doing? And something every Humvee kit's missing is the second shifter. Because you have your e-brake. The early ones needed it. They didn't have a park setting. They had reverse, neutral, drive. But here's where your main shifter is for forward and backward. And then you've got your Prindle here. And then over here is your 4 high, low, and all that. Every Humvee kit on the market is missing that 4 high, low switch. And that's another way I could tell the people on YouTube who have bought theirs, have never driven a 4-wheel drive vehicle, is they don't know that you need to put the fucking thing in neutral before you can engage the 4-wheel drive. I'm doing okay. The news from around the country is a bit unavoidable, given that my wife is part of the church here, and aside from the church president passing, things happened in Michigan too. Terrible things. So let me get a look at the shifter lever for the 4-wheel drive. It is smaller with a nub. Okay. So we're going to lean this forward to try and get it looking like it's in park. Well, this one's simple enough. I figured... Where's my lighter? Yeah, this one's subtle and simple enough. I figured I could waste a little more time on the detailing. Hey, Warduck, it depends on which one. There we go. So I'm just using the heat to rivet out the tip so I can make the smaller 4-wheel drive knob. Oh, he lurks all the time. The caster tells me when people join and when they leave. Okay, so here is the 4-wheel drive lever. He's stalking me too. I've just seen plenty of footage of people grinding this little 4-wheel drive lever because they aren't shifting it properly. Well, I hope I'm not getting too stupidly busy detailed on it. I'm just trying to make it look right. And right doesn't always mean you need every single last rivet. But since this doesn't even have the headlight control switches on it, I had to make that. I had to make the start lever, the main heating duct across the front. I still got to kind of figure out how to do the box down here with the tubing for routing the heat. Because this won't have doors, and I want the interior to be more properly filled out. Well, Warduck wasn't wrong. I know it's especially true for the earlier ones that don't have park. They are basically full-time four-wheel drive. Or all-wheel drive. And then you can switch from your driving gearing to high or low for off-road, or no, low and lock, basically. So you've got 4 high almost all the time. There's a neutral in that switch, and then there's low and lock. So high for on-road, low for off-road rough, low lock for extremely difficult off-road. And for me, it's always been, if you're shifting through that shit, throw it in neutral before you engage. Even if it's an all-wheel drive system, it's just healthier for the system. You're not grinding. And I've seen people try and go from the highway gears to the low gears, and they're grinding it because they didn't throw the main one. The newer ones that have the 4L80, they actually have a park neutral reverse drive, where the earlier ones that didn't have the 4L80 only have reverse neutral drive. They don't have a park switch. Honestly, Major Havoc, I would like to get one of the 6.2s non-turbo, because they do have the overdrive in the transmission. But what I do not want to get, if I can help it, is, believe it or not, the turbo diesel. I will take the old 3-speed TH350 with the diesel 350 over the turbo 6.2. Mainly because the turbo 6.2s were primarily used on the up-armored ones until they started becoming more common, and then they were used for other fittings. But they're also the ones that tend to break down more frequently due to the turbo systems and being roughhoused a bit more. Ow. So, but as far as version, every single Humvee can be broken down to your basic 4-door one. It's just a matter of how much you're willing to rip off, and I would like to do mine as a 4-door soft top with the longer top, not the pickup style short top. But if I have to, I'll get an up armored 115 and rip all the shit off of it, or an 1115. Not 1115, 1151. I can't get my fucking numbers straight today. Of course it did. Notifications on all these things suck. But honestly, it's whatever one that I can get for a reasonable enough price given the condition, as long as I can get it running or it runs. Because the way the auctions are, some are listed as could not get started. But if you look at the pictures, the engine bays are physically immaculate. You know, they're complete. There's others that state could not get started, parts missing. Yeah, I can understand if a belt's missing, coolant cap, things like that. If I see one with the intake manifold off, I sure as hell ain't getting it. Alright, no worries, Alex. Take it easy. Wish her well for me. Ooh. We're going to make a facsimile of a turn signal lever. Because this is so damn small, I'm not about to get perfect with it. Actually, that's about the right size. I can paint the green dot on it. But anyway, back to what I was saying about the vehicles. If I can get one that physically looks intact, even if the listing says could not start, that could be anything from bad alternator, which I can easily get. Most mechanical components I can get for this thing, no problem. Air in the fuel line, no fuel, clogged fuel filter. Again, really easy to diagnose and figure out. As long as it's physically complete and not just ratted to shit, I'll try bidding on it. If I'm lucky, I can probably get a running one. Because they come in weird grades and waves, right? And what I mean by that is they list the auctions. They all fall mainly on a Wednesday. There's one coming up on October 1st. I'm going to watch the trending on that. Running stripped 1151 up armored Humvees always seem to go for $10K and up. To me, that is dumb as shit. That's actually worse than buying a 1097, which is just a different mark of Humvee. That's worse than buying a 1097 with no top. Because with the up-armored ones, you have to deal with, okay, I've got this top, what do I do with it? Nothing out there is going to fit it in the aftermarket. The doors were different, the rear hatch was different, the top hatch is different. And again, they're those turbo diesels, so they probably got shit on really hard. The extra weight, the drivetrain's probably not as good. But people will look at these two-door cargo ones like what I'm building that don't have any of the canvas. And I've seen these go for $4,000 to $5,000 over and over again. And to convert this to a four-door, all you got to do is take out these plates, take out these panels. The mounts for the seats are under these panels here. You just get two new back seats, get yourself the frame, the B and the C pillar, and go. Just, to me, it seems more effective to get the stripped up armored one cheaper than it would be to get the soft top one cheaper. Because you can take the soft top and do more with it. Because you can buy the aftermarket hard tops and a whole bunch of other things that will fit on it than trying to backdate an up armored one, which you can do, but it's just a little bit more work. Looks better than nothing. Let me see something, though. This part again. Alright, we're gonna get some different music. I forgot this one looped. Okay. Oh, I was wrong. Academy actually got the shifters correct for once. But I remember building the Tamiya one and they got them all fuckered up. Yeah, we're gonna throw in the steering wheel, I think. Just get you lined up. Way off target. That's better. Okay, now that's installed. I'm kind of doing this out of order because of the other changes I've made. That's better. Cannon plug, 2 shifters, parking brake, seat belts. Right. Let's see what I can do about that heater. My photo gallery. That really is just a big rectangle with 2 hoses coming off of it. I am disappointed. I was going to get the ICM kit, because it is supposedly one of the most correct ones out there. Yeah, it's a rectangle with another on it. Okay. And I saw that it came with an engine block in it. And I'm like, ooh, does it have the engine? The bottom half. There's nothing up top, so there's no air intake, there's no filter, nothing, none of that. Actually, you know what? Speaking of which, that is about the right size. I'm going to imitate the filter housing that goes right there. Should have thought of that before. But yeah, depending on which one of these is available at the time, though, Major Havoc, I'll have to see what the trending sales are, what they have a majority of, and just see where things lie. It's one of those things I got to play it by ear. So the snorkel cap goes down. So yeah, it would be right there. Okay. Trim it down just a hair. But for right now, it looks like most of the ones that I'll be able to look at, because I'm also factoring in shipping to where I live. And unless a lot come up in Colorado, my best bet is ones from Yermo in California, and they're going to be a lot of ex-Marine vehicles. So they're going to have some corrosion damage and stuff on them too. But if I can snag one for around 4 to 5, have it shipped for 12, I'm still well within what I want to spend. Okay, just make sure I can still get the seat in after I glued this steering wheel in. Yeah. Easy as pie. I just hope I'm getting the more cramped feel of the interior down. I may have made the brake pedal a bit too large too, but whatever. Let me see, is there something I could reuse? There is. I will not be using this junky old radio, but I can repurpose it to be the heater junction box. I will probably be cutting today's stream a bit early though, more at 2. hours instead of 3. Because my wife was out of town for most of last week, and I want to do some stuff together. Okay. So if I glue that, trim it a bit shorter, and glue it like that. Yeah. Yep. A little more towards the side. And a little further down. Like that. Sorry about the weird looks on my face. I'm just looking at things. Okay. Good. And it could be a little closer up than I have it, which is fine. not out, up. There we go. There. And then I can use a chunk of this. That looks like it might actually work for that, if I can get it curved enough. Get some glue on that before I finish positioning it so it doesn't keep falling out on me. Looks like this needs to go like that. And the whole thing comes down. Yep, just like that. So I'm going to have to see about finding... I might be able to wrap some wire and thinner wire to give it the rib texture for this one. Because there's a hose that comes up to this corner from in the back of the unit. And then there's another one that comes from this face directly up underneath. That one I can do right now. This thinner one I'm going to have to figure out. If I can get this done, I'll think we'll have a good stopping point for today. I just have to get this up behind it, really. It's a lot smaller than it looks. Perfect. Perfect. One shot. Ah. Get back in. Get back in your hole. Get back. Back. Yeah, I'm gonna have to have a think on the other one. Yeah, because the one I just put in is the fresh air intake, and then the other one here is the heater outlet. So the blower motor's back there. So, but that I need a thinner one. Maybe. Nope. Yeah, I've got nothing thinner, so I'm gonna have to figure that one out. Maybe go dig through. Give me 1 second. Alright, we're back. I had to go find my Machining Krieger box of misery, because there might be something in here I can use. And I think I just found it. And I may have even found the rods for doing the frame for the canvas top. Just seeing what else I have in terms of stiff wiring. Because I really don't want to cut these if that's the case on this. Yeah, those will be enough. This is what I was looking for. Okay. Yeah, I think that'll do nicely for the heat side. Are there 4 of those? There's thin and thick. Okay. So these we'll set aside for this. I know these 3 are the same height, so I'll have to use this to form one of them, and then this to form the other 3. Good. Exactly what I wanted. Maybe. So that can go back into there, and this just has to come up to here. Okay. This one's a 2-fold issue. Come on, glue. Note to self, Tuesday, get more glue. I keep forgetting. Alright, now my diagonal cutters. Or even these things, they'll work too. Just trying to find where the bottom of this wire is roughly. And of course that just gets launched out. That's fine. We'll just cap both ends with super glue. Hit it with kicker. And then wrestle it into place. Come on. This super glue's almost dead. Actually, I could try wrestling it into place before I hit it with the kicker. Two birds, one drop. Yeah, let's give it a bit more bend. Okay. There. And then doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to look like it's going to the right spot. And that does. Excellent. Gonna get the other bench seat assembled. See if we can at least get those glued on. I'm just wondering, will it be worth the effort to try and do a canvas tarp made out of aves, like I did on this one? Or would it be worth it just to have the bench seats and no top? We're mostly done with it. I want to see if I still have some of the, oh, what's it called? There's a Japanese canned coffee, UCC. It doesn't have to be that, but basically Japanese drinks come in a much stiffer, thicker can than American ones. And I have some laying around, I think. I just have to find it. Because I want to use that to make the radio shelf. Then I'll see what I can do about finding some STL files for a more representative radio. This one's dry. I glued this together a couple days ago to get its spacing right. Get this on. A couple easy ways to tell if you got the right one for the right side. The back end has this little flare on it. Of course, autofocus doesn't want to help me in this. Never does. Let's move this out this way then. Hold on. Come on. Oh, now you're just being a twat. Anyway, there's a flare on it, and there's a stiffener that's larger. That goes towards the front. And we have Cat. Hi, Allie. I think that's Allie. It is. Is it that time already? But what I'm trying to account for is the thickness of the B-pillar that's right here. Because you could leave that off and go gluing them on all the way forward and kind of mess it up. Where if you hold the B-pillar in place, you can then glue these on and know that you've got the spacing pretty much right. And I was just doing that to make it easier on myself, because there's this panel here. You're just inside of it widthwise. So that's got those pretty much where they need to be. That's your brother, that's Frank, yeah. Don't worry about him. I'm just going to tack these down here, so that way those stake bed sides don't go flopping outward. Because if I don't use the top, what I can do is cut the B-pillar out of this, put it in here, and then make the frame that goes over this and over this with no canvas, no doors, no nothing. So essentially I'd be making, see if we can find a picture again. But you almost always see them with the tops. You hardly ever see them without at least the driver's compartment covered over. Yeah, we'll keep the driver's compartment covered over. Never mind on that. But I want to try making the frame at least and see what we can do for that. I'm still hesitant to try doing this with AVES. It worked in a small scale. I even did it in 16th scale. Hold on. Ah, come on. So yeah, I did it in 16th scale too, just for battery access. So I might be able to make it work. So there's that. I didn't bring it down as far. I still have to put the electrics in this, but it should run fine. Not easy to find this kit anymore. Now, how far down do I drill that? If I remember right, the actual supports went all the way through these. That kept them from going backward on themselves. Would it be easiest to shave those off and then put some half moons of styrene tube on them? I don't know. I'll let these dry and we'll come back to it. At worst, we'll just build it looking like that. Still not terrible, but I don't know. I'll sleep on it. What should I work on tomorrow is the question, because I feel like doing something different, I just don't know what. Still feeling a little scaled out, if you know what I mean. Maybe I'll see about finishing up something machining Krieger. I'll have a think on it tonight and see what all jumps to mind. I don't know, just feeling a little scatterbrained lately. Got a lot on my mind with saving up for the real one, and kind of where I want to go, what I want to do with that. And I'm really thinking about doing some kind of road trips with it. Maybe different museum tours. I don't know. I'll think about it. But I'm going to go for now. There's still a lot I need to do today. Laundry, yard work, things like that. I'll be on again tomorrow. But just feeling kind of pulled in different directions today. And so, thanks for watching, and I'll see